And that's what clients pay us for, the most direct and safe route towards their goals. Those short-term results, people like systems. Not only did I learn these methods, I found out where to place these methods so that I can get the optimal results during goal time, during peak performance, randomly. Because random exercises give you random results. Specific exercises gives you specific results. So I was specifically...
You mentioned nutrition before. Like to hear a little bit more about that.
Coming to see me, I'm not changing my program because you didn't have adequate breakfast. Steroids. Nutrition is absolutely non-negotiable. When you're talking about goals, if you're trying to lose weight, I don't have a recommended quantity for alcohol. I just know that, or food for that matter. It's really upon the individual to know what their goals are and to see if what they're doing helps their goals.
Welcome to another episode of Core Values. Today in the room is another big guy who is very into programming and a lot of different stuff. It's a really amazing guy that I see every morning around 5 or 6 a.m. every single morning. And his name is Amo. Amo, welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me, Alex.
My pleasure. Okay, briefly something about you and your fitness journey.
So my name is Amo. I've been in the industry for 22 years. I am 19 years old. And I started out at chain gyms, and about 2006 is when I went off on my own and started my own business. And I've been independent since then. So I've been traveling to different locations, training my clients outside of the chain gyms.
Cool. How many locations do you go to?
I'm a squatter, so I don't like traveling.
Okay.
So I have one location, and if I have to travel to my clients, it's for convenience, but they're gonna pay me for traveling. I like to stay put.
Cool. So you started your journey like a long time ago, right? In 2001, right?
Yes.
Cool. Tell me, what is your approach to fitness? I know you're very into programming. I saw you always with the iPad in front of your client, always have a program ready. How is that important for you to feel confident about your programming and your client, but also at the same time for your client results?
Well, the good thing about where I started is that they allowed me to start without certification, but I would get certification on the job. I was supposed to get certified, in the process. That was the deal. So in the beginning, I was doing what I've known. I went to the gym, I killed people, you do 1,000 of this, 1,000 of that, and it worked. As I was learning, I started learning about programming, periodization. And for those of us that don't know, periodization is just basically a logical and systematic process of sequencing training methods to achieve peak performance at different times. So basically, if you have a goal in mind, we have to institute different types of training methods to get to that goal. I don't care if it's a competition you're getting ready for, if you're getting ready for a wedding. I have to make sure that what we're doing will get you there. If you need a certain amount of power, a certain amount of strength, or even a certain look. And so that kind of fine-tuned how I started looking at training, where I had to actually have something written down. And not only did that force accountability on my part, because I had to do homework. So it wasn't just about me training the client in the gym. It was about me going home to actually write programs for my clients. And that is what started separating me from other trainers. Early in 2001, I started getting more clients. I started having more retention. I started making the most money. And I seen that quickly. And then, I got so busy, I got lazy again. I put the programming down. I started going off on my head. I started losing clients. I started, having less retention, and it started going back in the opposite direction. And I didn't put it together. I was like, why am I not getting the clients or the time that I used to have? And then I said, wait a minute, let me go back to programming. I went back to programming, and it started happening again. So programming allows the client to have more, to adhere to your process longer. It's no different from going to a restaurant and having a menu. You'll have people come through and you'll have people order. If you have no menu, the less clients, the less people you'll have, because it's random. People like systems. And so that's what I learned early on.
What is the best system you have for people? And what is your approach and what's your specialty?
Well, systems, apply to everyone differently, right? Because everyone's different. So there's no system that applies for everyone. Everyone's different. However, there are different approaches for different types, generalizations that you can try, and especially if someone has limitations, they have injuries, things have to be adjusted and modified. But there are plenty of approaches which I stuck to because it works. So in around 2009, I got into a coach named Charles Poliquin, and he basically opened my eyes to the programming that was efficient, programming that was based on real results in science, different methods that actually work.
Tell us something about that.
Well, instead of randomly doing stuff, which I was doing even for myself from 2001 to 2009, I just randomly training. Oh, well, let me see how many reps I can do. Let me see, how long I can do this for. And it was aimless. It was just stuff to do. And I was getting bored of my own training. It's like, what am I going to do now to challenge myself? So one week I would challenge myself tremendously, and the next week I wouldn't. That's not consistent. We're supposed to be going steadily up a ladder, progressively. But it was so intermittent as far as challenges is concerned. I wasn't getting optimal results. So I learned different ways of systematically getting more challenging but safer at the same time. So there are plenty of methods out there. There's concentric methods, there's eccentric methods, there's isometric methods, things that we probably do unconsciously, the industry does unconsciously. Sometimes you'll have an Instagram post, or you'll have something in a magazine that says, okay, we're going to do a rest pause set, or we're going to do a pre-exhaustion set, post-exhaustion set, we're going to do an antagonistic superset, things like that some people are doing in the gym and don't really know. So not only did I learn these methods, I found out where to place these methods so that I can get the optimal results during goal time, during peak performance. And so all of that matters. And so knowing periodization and knowing when to apply these methods is crucial for the trainer and the client, because they're on a budget. They're on a time budget. They need results at X time. And so when I understood that, again, I started separating myself from other trainers, because the results were coming safely and efficiently at specific time points instead of randomly, because random exercises give you random results. Specific exercises gives you specific results. So I was specifically planning this, especially around injury, especially around limitations, showing my clients, you remember when you wasn't able to raise your arm above your head? Well, we got that now. Now we can do overhead press with 2 arms, things like that. They've seen the results within, let's say, 3 months. You remember when you weren't able to squat so deep? Well, we made sure you had mobility and and strength at a specific a range so that you can squat.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
What is the most, let's say, for someone who's in a pretty average shape,
Mm-hmm.
and like we have clients who are pretty much the same goals. I want to lose some body fat, I want to gain some muscle. What is your best approach when it comes to those people? I know everyone's different,
Mm-hmm.
but if you have someone who comes to you and say, look, in 6 months I want to look great, I want to lose 5-6 pounds of body fat, I want to gain 5 to 6 pounds of muscle, but I also want to feel good.
Right.
How do you approach this kind of person?
Well, here's the thing about answering questions like that, right? It's not my approach. I can probably tweak what I've learned or seen in the industry, but it's not my approach. I don't think anyone has something that no one ever heard or seen before. We've learned methods from other people and people who've done the science behind it and adopted it and probably tweaked it. So anything that I say is not going to be Amo's method per se. It is probably going to be something that I modified to fit a certain time, or because a lot of these methods necessitate someone to be in the gym 4 days a week, and a lot of our clients can't come 4 days a week. So what do we do if it's 2 days a week? What do we do if somebody just wants to train 1 day a week? So for fat loss, for instance, there's something called German body composition. You look it up, you see that this was developed in a way so that someone can lose the most amount of body fat in a given time. And so they would split upper and lower body so that they can get the blood flowing throughout the whole body. So for instance, you would do squats and you would rest for a minute, let's say, and then you do pull downs afterwards. So that would not only cause the body to work harder because the blood is going everywhere, but you're going to be stimulating a lot more lactic acid. You're going to be stimulating a lot more muscles in a given time frame so that you can lose weight faster. Now this same person is not going to get as strong as they want to be because that's a different type of goal. But if they want to lose weight, they will lose the weight, and you will make them happy. But now they should be getting stronger. So there's another program for that. So you might do 3 months of German body composition, and then you'll do 3 months of strength training so that they're getting strong as well. So there's a way of approaching all of this so that the client doesn't have to do the math. They're not thinking about what exercises to do, but because you are, and because you're writing it down, and because you don't remember what they did last week in your head, I mean, I can't. It's all written down. They like that. They like the fact that you have their chart, their history, and their progression. And so when you change, they already know what they're in for. They're looking forward to continuing with you. The topic of renewing is not a topic. They're just going to renew. So it works so that your client retention is so much longer because these clients are looking for the next program.
Cool. I like that. How many people you have in New York who have similar fitness goals?
So I think in New York, because this is not a athletic-based state, and I say that not to say that there's no athletes here, but the gyms that are in New York do not favor athletic training. We're talking about, the kind of machinery and the equipment that is needed to train athletes. The space that's needed to train athletes is not typical New York. So we get the weekend warriors, we get the stay-at-home individuals, we get the
What are the
lawyers,
weekend warriors for people who don't know?
the guys who work all week and they go all out during the weekend. All their fitness goals is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they only have that time, to work out. And so those are most of my clients, the people who don't really have time, or they have to go to work. So it's best that they work out before work. Me particularly, I don't train past 2-3 o'clock. So, or those same people would train after work. So most of my clients are the typical 9-to-5 worker. And so they all have this goal of just being able to stay fit, or to lose some body fat, to get stronger. And that's basically what my clientele is based off. I wish I can tell you I had ex-athletes from the Knicks but most of our clients are, the average general population.
For people who have no time, or you just said for weekend barriers. So you have people who have no time, they have like once a week. Once a week. You mentioned you do like a little split upper and lower body.
Right.
Can you please tell me something a little bit more about that? Like when it comes to, again, not your approach, but what's the best to do for people who work out only once a week?
Well, anybody who's working out once or twice a week, I would recommend full body workouts. It just makes sense. If you're only able to get in the gym once or twice a week, because, your muscles have to go through a certain exposure to get results. And if you're not getting it, all the big muscle groups, it's hard, especially more than once a week. It's hard to get the results you want. So people, I kind of bring reality into the situation when someone tells me, hey, I want to lose 15 pounds in 2 months, and I can only see you once a week. It's not possible unless you're doing something outside the gym that accommodates us, which is nutrition. Nutrition is huge. So the truth is, when someone says I have no time to work out, I also debunk that myth that you have time. You're not prioritizing.
What do you tell them?
I start off with what they can offer. When they see the results, they themselves start saying, I think I could make more time, because it's what we do is efficient. I'm not here to play games with you. I'm not here to waste your time. You're going to work. And when you work, you see that a second day would benefit, a third day would benefit. So I've started out with clients who only saw me once a week, and now they see me 3. Where did this time come from? Where did all of a sudden you have the time? It's because you have the desire now. And usually what drives desires are results. They don't see the value of what you're doing. And when they do see it, all of a sudden, you know what? I'm going to push that aside and I'm going to put more time here. I've had clients say, when I offered for them to take less time because maybe they're stressed, maybe they have a lot more going on, and I say, maybe we should just do twice this week. They say, no, I need this. So they convince themselves because of the results that they're getting.
So you want to say people come to you, say, I have no time, and then all of a sudden they get results and they change.
Yeah.
How much people change once they see results?
Everyone. I don't have a track record of someone who stays with me once a week, unless they're coming from, out of state.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell someone, who's coming from out of state, even as close as New Jersey, I can't tell them, hey, you need to see me more than once if the time and their job doesn't allow them to. But anyone who's living in New York may have started out as one because, I don't have no time. I have so much going on. It doesn't stay that way. And I'm not a pushy salesman. So I let the work speak for itself.
You mentioned nutrition before.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to hear a little bit more about that. How do you approach people who start out with you? Of course, working out very important, but without nutrition, we both know it's impossible to get results. What do you tell busy New Yorkers about what is the first step when it comes to nutrition for getting results?
Well, not only for weight loss, but just for strength gaining, nutrition is absolutely non-negotiable. You have to eat. So when someone tells me I don't eat until 3 o'clock, it's not going to work. Or someone tells me I don't have an appetite, it's not going to work. When someone tells me, I have a drink every day, it's not going to work. So the general nutrition advice I think most people know about. You should have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, let's say, and you can have your in-between meals. So people know. It's just that they don't put the time and effort into actually getting that done. So on the top of the list, as far as macronutrients is concerned, is protein. You have to have protein. So make sure protein is present in every meal. How you get that protein, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, or you're a carnivore, you have to make sure you get that protein in. So some people will say something like, yeah, I had a fruit for breakfast. There's no protein there. That energy is going to be gone very quickly. Now you're coming to see me, I'm not changing my program because you didn't have adequate breakfast. So my programming helps keep them cognizant of what they should be putting in their mouth. When a client comes to me and say, oh my goodness, I had a drink last night, I'm feeling kind of, my program doesn't change for that. I don't have a drinking program. So it's going to be the same workout that we did last week, and you gotta achieve those same numbers. So if you're going to see me, make sure the night before you respect my programming and you don't drink. So I have clients that said, no, I'm not drinking tonight because I'm seeing Amma tomorrow. That works for me.
2 questions. First one, for breakfast. What is your ideal breakfast that you recommend to your clients? And second question about drink. Like, how many drinks people should have per week?
Okay, so as far as breakfast is concerned, my typical breakfast can be boiled eggs, anywhere from 3 to 4 boiled eggs.
For men or women?
It doesn't matter. I mean, at least 30 grams, I would say, of protein, is adequate for a breakfast meal. And the reason why protein is important in the morning, especially because it satiates you and it sets the tone for the rest of the day. Usually when you have carbs for breakfast, you're going to want carbs for the rest of the day. And having an adequate breakfast balances out your blood sugar so that you're not having those cravings that people typically have throughout the day. And also it boosts all the things that we need, like muscle repair, tendons, and the hard parts of your body, the nails, the hair, and stuff like that. We need protein, and protein has gotten a bad rap over the years of as far as animals are concerned, or it makes you lethargic and stuff like that. And now the science is swaying the other way. Same thing with drinks. If you ask me how many drinks should someone have, you have people who say you can have safely 2 drinks a week or 1 drink a day. Alcohol, for the most part, is poison. So you choose how much poison you're gonna. When you're talking about goals, if you're trying to lose weight, you just can't afford to drink that much. So I don't have a recommended quantity for alcohol. I just know that, or food for that matter. It's really upon the individual to know what their goals are and to see if what they're doing helps their goals, if it supports their goals. Alcohol does not support weight loss. So if you really want those results, you'll know you have to minimize and cut back on that.
So you want to say if people have even 1 drink at night, their workout will be the same because of your programming the day after. But do you think they're going to feel a little worse than usual if they, for example, didn't have any drink last night?
It depends on the individual. Some people operate fine. Some people work out without breakfast and they work out fine. Some people work out fine with 1 drink. I had a client come to me the other day and said, "Oh man, I'm feeling wasted. I only had 3 drinks." And he felt embarrassed because when he was younger, that was nothing to him. Now he's older, 3 drinks is a lot. So depending on your age range, your tolerance, 1 drink may not do anything to you. So giving a blanket number, I think, is where the industry goes wrong, because we're all different. But I don't think this is about being detrimental. Like, if you have a drink, all is lost. No, I'm not saying that. Mm-hmm. It all depends on how serious you are about your goals. And bodybuilders know. You have X amount of calories, it will show. And our clients are not that meticulous, where they're not that interested in looking like bodybuilders, even though they say that they like to look as lean as someone else. They're not as serious, so I don't put these strict guidelines on them and say, hey, no drinks and no cheat meals, or no cake or no cookies. I don't have that approach towards them necessarily, but I'd like to go by the 80-20 rule. If 80% of the time you're eating clean, you can probably afford 20% where you're playing around with processed food or alcohol. So that's just being realistic in this world. If somebody's doing 100%, hey, I don't have a client like that. I mean, if I did, I'd be inspired.
Right. There is no perfectionism here.
Yes. Well, there are people who do that, and the only people that I know that stick to diets to the T are bodybuilders. They are about to perform. They cannot afford to have that snack. Not before the competition. After the competition, they do what they want. But to get the kind of leanness that is required on stage, they are really, really good at following, food regimens. Outside of that, I don't know anybody who's that serious about, nutrition and, the counting the calories and putting things on a scale. I don't do that with my clients. Like I said, 80-20 is probably the best approach towards eating correctly.
When it comes to bodybuilding, what do you think that separates these people from regular people? Not just about working out, also diet and everything in general. Is it mindset, or is it just personality, or something else?
Steroids. I half mean that. So I gotta say, bodybuilders are probably the most focused group of athletes that I've seen in the gym that work out towards a goal. They are, for the most part, self-absorbed. They are focused. They do not deviate from whatever plan they are in because they're prepping for competition. They can even be mean because they don't have the time to talk to you, to share a machine with you, because they have to do this amount of work. They have to do this amount of cardio. So for the next 3 months, they might not be as social as you'd like them to be. So those are very, in my experience, they stood out to me and inspired me in many ways to be really focused. So sometimes when you see me working out, I'm in a zone. I don't talk to anybody. I have my music playing, and I'm really counting my rest. I'll have a stopwatch. If I have 2 minutes rest, that's what I have. I'm not here to talk to you. If I'm going to talk to you, it's going to be within this 2 minutes. And interestingly enough, that's how I train my clients. We have a minute's rest. So when you hear that stopwatch beep, stop talking and get to work. And the reason why is not simply because I'm just being a hard ass. It's about standardization. If we rested for 1 minute this week and you got a certain amount of reps, I'm looking for you to increase the amount of reps next week with the same amount of rest. If I increase the rest the following week because we were talking, of course you're going to do more reps. So it's not really measurable consistently anyway. It's not consistent. So we rested the same amount of time. We had the same amount of weight. The next week, look, you did 5 pounds heavier. Those short-term results mean something to clients, as opposed to the randomness that I was doing before, which still worked, but it was the scenic route, right? I don't like taking the scenic route. I want the most direct route. And that's what clients pay us for, the most direct and safe route towards their goals. When you take out elements that mean something, like the rest period, the incremental increases in weight, the amount of times you're doing this workout, when none of that really matters, like my shirt says reps over religion, right? That's a whole different topic. But the point is, reps is king. It decides what generally our goals are. So if I'm doing 12, I have to find that weight that will get you exhausted at 12. That's about 70% of your 1 rep max. And I have to figure that out. So if you're talking to me, if you're resting too long, I can't really figure out that 12 rep, because that means something, And so I don't ask my clients to know what I know, but I do ask them to follow what I know. And they have to respect you enough to know, he said we have a minute rest, that's what we're doing. He said that we're doing this for 3 weeks, that's what we're doing. Some of my clients hate a certain program and they can't wait for it to be over in 3 weeks, but they look forward to the next one. So reps, rest periods, tempo, all of that makes the programming adaptable. So you can see in 3 weeks, hey, look at the changes that I've gotten, because it takes about that time for you to start seeing something.
How often do you change programming? Every 3 weeks, or
every 3 weeks?
Every 3 weeks.
Every 3 weeks, I change the programming, because it takes about that time for your muscles to adapt to what you're doing. So once it adapts to what you're doing, I can change the program and do another set of exercises for another 3 weeks, and then go back to that first movement pattern and see the progress. So it also takes time for recovery, right? So we're talking about recovery, we're talking about fatigue, and we're talking about adaptation. All of those matter in a program. So how well you recover, I have to sequence, I have to plan well enough so I do not stress you so much that you can't recover. So imagine someone getting ready for a wedding, and if I don't plan my workouts accordingly and I give them the hardest workout, at the end, they're not going to be able to walk in their wedding. You know what I'm saying? So timing is important. It's not just about looks. Because if the person can't walk up the stairs or perform on stage because you just wanted to kill them, it doesn't make sense. You want them to look good and endure on that platform, so you have to know when to apply the hard methods, the easier methods. So it's all timing and sequencing, and that's where education comes in. And I've been doing that for over 20 years. So when you try to when you consider my longevity, it's not simply because I'm a people's person. It's because I continue to educate myself throughout the years. I continue to recertify, and what I've noticed is that I'm the oldest guy in the class now. And I'm looking around and I'm seeing people half my age, which is both bittersweet, because I'm like, wow, I'm the oldest guy, but no one knows that until I tell them. So it just means to me that I gotta stay fresh, and just because what I've done 20 years ago is still making money, it doesn't mean that it still works. So I gotta continue to educate myself so that my clients are also growing with me. I have clients that have been with me for a very long time and still is being introduced to new things, new methods. And it's not even new methods that I just learned. It's stuff that I've known for a long time, but now they're ready. So I left the creative stage, and the creative stage was, hey, let me try to do this. Let me stand on one leg and hold this and shake, and all the stuff that you see on the internet today. And I started to migrate towards science. That's when I talked to you about learning from Charles Poliquin in 2009, and then I migrated to Kilo Strength Society, who is spearheaded by Steph Kazult, and he is a genius behind programming, and I've never seen anyone in the industry program like him. So I'm learning from him as well, and it's always a journey, and there's always more to learn when it comes down to techniques, because our bodies are changing. Sedentary people who walk a lot, people who drive, and their shoulders are not working properly. So how do I achieve someone's aesthetic desires when he has shoulder issues, when they have knee issues, when they have back issues? I have to adjust. I have to learn.
Right. Tell me something about failure. We all talk about the science behind is about, like, okay, do the reps until the muscle failure, and this is how you grow. Mm-hmm. No matter if it's for hypertrophy, or we want to just lose weight or something else. Like, a lot of people say, like, failure is the goal. Either it's 12, either 6, or even 20 reps. A lot of science says that we should do to the muscle failure. What do you think, and what's your approach on that?
So muscle failure is what we all should go for in a gym, but that does not say much about the rep range, because different rep ranges target different results. So I can have muscle failure at 1 rep. So does somebody say, hey, I'm going to have you do 1 rep to muscle failure? Because you can have someone deadlift and they cannot do anymore. Is that their goals, to be as strong as possible? No, they want to be lean. So now we're talking about a different rep range.
What is the rep range for being lean?
Well, typically it's, the bodybuilding range that, a lot of bodybuilders comfort themselves in, and it's anywhere from, 9 or 10 to 12 reps. So if someone picks 12 reps, they should fail at 12.
So the last one should be very hard. Like
the last one should
with
be
the proper form, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's the all or none principle, right? You're talking about when at first your slow twitch muscle fibers start working, and it's like, okay, I'll keep working, and then the harder it gets, the fast twitch muscle fibers, the one with less oxygen, starts helping out and those are the bigger muscle groups. So because you are getting closer to the end, all your fibers are firing now, and we need them to fail to be able to have some kind of stimulus or adaptation. So if I don't know what that is, for instance, everyone knows what 1 rep max is. That means that, or most people know what 1 rep max is, how much you can lift one time. That's 100%. So what's 12? What's 9? What's 6? We kind of escape that and say, I don't know what percentage that is. There's a percentage behind them. If 1 is 100%, what is 12? That's around 70%.
70%.
What is 9? That's around 76%. Mm-hmm. So, we are not doing enough to make sure we achieve those percentages and that output. So I make sure that if we are doing 6 reps, which is 83% of your 1RM, we can only do 6 reps. But I have to figure out that weight. I have to know what that weight is. And that's where my education comes in, when I already figured it out, because I know what your 6 RM is. It doesn't mean that I did a 1 RM and then I figured it out. Sometimes I play around with the weight and I see what your 83% is. Once I figure out what your 6 RM is, I can figure out the rest. I can figure out what you can do for 9 reps. I can figure out what you can do for 12 reps. And here's the genius behind it. You can't lie to me. The numbers don't lie. So when I put a weight on the bar, sometimes a client goes, I can't do that. And I say, well, according to the math, if you were able to do this for 6 reps, you should be able to do this for 9 reps. And they get under the bar and they do it for 9 reps. Exactly 9. They couldn't do 10. And they're like, wow, how'd you know that? Well, that's just math, really. But it's programming. It's what I've been learning to do so that you can't. Can I curse on here? No, I guess
yeah,
not.
You can.
You can't bullshit me. Because a lot of people will bullshit you and say, I don't think I could do that. And I'm like, if you did this, I had a client tell me, I said, we're going to do, I forget the weight it was. And we said, we're going to do this for 10 reps. And it was 5 pounds heavier than the week before. They said, I can't do it. And they struggled for 1 rep. I can't do it. And I motivated them, talked them through. Second set, they did it. Third set, they did it clean, 10 reps. Where was the problem? It was in their head.
This wraps up another insightful episode of Core Values. A huge thank you to our guest, Amo, for joining us today and sharing his wisdom on the importance of efficient exercise program design. Remember, it's not about finding time, it's about making time for your health and your well-being. If you enjoyed this episode and found value in Amo's advice, please consider subscribing to our channel and leaving a review. Your feedback helps us bring more valuable content. And don't forget to follow us on the Core Values Cast to stay updated to our latest episodes and exclusive content.